I'm here in Warbass. I haven't been in here in many, many years, and I took the opportunity to visit one of my favorite Warbassians. Is that such a word, Sam?
Oh, no.
Sam Zilberzweig, and we were reminiscing about some of the great stories he told me about Greenfield Pickles and Orchard Street.
No.
No?
On Rivington, on the corner.
On Rivington?
Right off the corner of Clinton Street. On the, let's take a look. It would be the northeast corner, near the corner. There used to be a luncheonette, and he was right next to it. And he was rather well known on Rivington Street for a variety of pickles, sour tomatoes, sauerkraut, either by the barrel. You would pick from the barrel, or he had already stuff placed in the glass jars. Greenfield, and almost every evening, when his barrel more or less emptied of pickles, would take the juice or the brine from the barrel.
The juice, not the juice.
The juice. And he would put it down into the gutter, hoping that somehow it would get to the sewer, but it never did. Extreme heats during the 1950s. The sidewalks and the roadway was so hot that the liquid evaporated, giving the whole area a smell of all the condiments that went into the making of the juice.
And I guess there was still cobblestone, so it's, could that have prevented the flow? Because
it could have been. I'm
trapped?
not so sure. I don't remember cobblestones. I think they were already paved, but the paving was, run down, and the sidewalks were uneven, so frequently the curb didn't almost exist, and the liquid would frequently get on the sidewalks. Being so hot, many people couldn't stay in their own apartments, so therefore they sat outside in front of their buildings, either on the stoops, where there were stoops, or they sat on chairs that they took out from their apartments, and this is how people escape the heat until there was no choice, and they had to go back into their apartments. Fans were the only things available. Many of the buildings had direct current, and nothing was made for direct current. Everything was being made for alternating current, so therefore there were no air conditioners in people's homes. It was either the fan or open window, which didn't help.
I think somebody who had seen that segment on the blog wrote in, and I think they were related to the Greenfields, and I think one of the, maybe you had said in the comments that one of the Greenfield sons might have died in World War II, or he was on a bomber or a pilot or something.
Yeah, I think he was killed, for which they received a insurance policy. But the daughter, I believe, had 2 children who were very, very ill, and he lasted a pretty long time in that area. And of course, on the other end of Delancey Street, you ran into Gus Pickles on
Essex.
On Essex Street.
Actually, he was on Hester originally.
Hester, then Essex Street.
Right.
And then another 2 guys opened up a pickle store on Essex Street, closer to Seward Park High School.
Hollander.
Yeah,
I think it's Hollander. Yeah.
Now, those 2 guys recently were in the newspaper. They moved their store or factory to Borough Park, somewhere around 38th Street and
those
13th
are the people
Avenue.
Who bought from Gus, the recipe.
Yeah.
But I actually there's a place called the Pickle Guys. Yeah. On Essex, on north, right off of Grand.
Yes.
They're very good.
Yes.
Very good and very nice guy.
Because sometimes they do walking tours for the people, so they take them down to the pickle store, they take them down to an Italian section of, somewhere around Elizabeth Street, and they give them some Italian pastry, and they stop in a Chinese restaurant or something to eat, and I think it's the tour, I think it's called Eating Your Way Through the
Notch Store or something.
Yeah, something like that. And Grand Street Settlement at one time contracted with them, and I went along and took the kids and a professional street
Remember when we went to Strites with what's her name?
That was funny.
And Streit's matzahs, every time I walked past them, I would say they make the best matzahs in the world. Deliberately, I would say it very loud, and the workers, as soon as they heard it, they opened up their windows and they would give the kids the hot stuff coming off the conveyor belt.
Now, Sam, because I have to go very soon, do you remember, because it was on Rivington Street that the Green Glasses lived? Do you remember when they were arrested back in 1950?
Yes, but I think they were further down near Sheriff or Pitt Street. Yes, Green Glass and Rosenberg
lived. The parents, his parents lived around the corner on Sheriff.
Yeah.
But the son lived on Rivington. Him and his wife Ruth. I think. Like in the 260s or something. You must have lived like
172.
You're right. So you lived.
Yeah, of course we. As a matter of fact, my father and I frequently would go on the Lancy Street. They would close the plaza area to demonstrate against the sentence that was passed in 1953. We felt that under the espionage, my father felt under the espionage laws that they didn't deserve to be executed. And of course,
well, the way the laws were written, they weren't.
They weren't. Yes, and that there was a rush to judgment, and also he felt, because my father grew up with Sacco and Vincenti background, so he said, well, I remember the case seems to be very similar, that because while they were not immigrants, the Rosenbergs, but there was no rush. Now, he felt to justify everything, they had a Jewish judge, and they had a lawyer called Block. And Block subsequently passed away after the trial.
Very soon.
He died
under a lot of stress.
He died and there was also an attempt not to violate the Sabbath, so they were executed before sundown. So we demonstrated, and that was the time that Eisenhower was running against Stevenson, and we saw Stevenson get up and speak, and of course most people didn't understand what Stevenson was saying. Most people there spoke poor English rather poorly, or they would say they spoke English. English. And
now, Sam, you recounting this is. I'm a little rusty on my history. Is that a primary source or a secondary source?
Primary, because I was there. I was there.
Right.
And I was there, and there were demonstrations.
Like if I was telling this and I was talking about you, I would be a secondary source. But do you remember, Sam? Do you remember our experience at a conference? On primary. That was one of the funniest things. Why don't you tell that story, Sam?
The waiter wanted to know if we were interested to put what sauce we want on the cheesecake, I think. Cheesecake. And I said, I want primary sauce. And he looked at both of us, and he shook his head, and he says, we don't have primary sauce, but we have strawberry sauce.
Okay, so that concludes our little episode here in Warbass, and then 2785 or 65?
85.
Okay, so now I'm heading over to 65. And Sam, it's been great. I hope to do this again.